This is Shayna, and I'm presenting the first half of positive psychotherapy. Also can be called positive psychology, or PPT for short. So what is PPT? Positive psychotherapy is considered to be the study of strength and virtue. This is a newer theory as it was first founded in the late 1990s, but many of its concepts can be dated farther back since much of this theory's ideology was inspired by other theories. Some of these other theories were mainly the humanistic theory and existential theory. At first, PPT was used in the treatment of depression, and then later expanded to the treatment of anxiety, phobias, and then other mental illnesses as well. Dr. Martin Seligman is the main founder of this theory. He is a former APA president and is currently the director of the Positive Psychology Center at the University of Pennsylvania. And he began to theorize positive psychology after he was weeding in the garden with his daughter Nikki, who was only 5 at the time. And he got mad at her because she was playing too much instead of helping him weed the garden. And she stopped and she said to him how she had made the choice on her 5th birthday to stop being so whiny. And if she can make the choice and stop herself from whining so much, then he can make the choice and stop himself from being so much of a grouch. Obviously, this shocked him, coming from his 5-year-old. However, he considered this ability of hers, of making herself stop whining so much, to be a marvelous skill that he as a father could nourish and amplify, and believed it would help her buffer out her weaknesses and lead her to living a happier life. He does consider positive psychology to be a movement, because before the development of PPT, he believed that the psychology field was deformed because there was too much focus on weaknesses and illnesses in a person, and he believed that there needed to be some sort of balance between the positives and the negatives. So that is why one of the big beliefs of PPT is that positive emotions and strengths are just as authentic and real as symptoms and disorders. Next, I have a short video clip of an interview with Dr. Martin Seligman. He is addressing some of the criticisms of his theory in this interview, but I think it gives a really good overview of PPT. So I'm just going to play that for everybody.
So, authentic happiness is a goal. In what ways is it not Pollyanna or just denial? Because critics might say, oh, this happiness, the old guard might say this is a flight into health, or a running away from suffering, a disengagement from your pain, which is superficial.
Yeah.
You've heard that, I'm sure.
Not put as well, Randall.
Okay,
actually.
thank you. Thank you
really
very
did
much.
put it well and differently, and we will try to make this interview fun by having questions I haven't heard before. So my first reaction to that is I'm all for psychology as usual. I'm all for pain, undoing pain.
You have nothing against pain and suffering.
Nothing against pain and suffering, but it's just not enough. So we're talking about a supplement here as well. So I don't want the people watching this tape to stop doing uncovering and insight and the like. But I think we've gone too far about pain and suffering before I say why positive psychology is not just the denial of that. If you look at childhood victims of trauma, I think there's very good evidence now that we've been ripping the scabs off it by the therapies we do. So if you look at the intensity and duration of symptoms of kids who have been sexually abused, who testify against their accuser, I think the figure is 10 times worse. That is to say, some of the working through, uncovering, we're testifying about it as a exaggeration of that, rips off nature's scabs. Now you might want to think those scabs are denial. I think they're perfectly good defensive mechanisms. So our only defenses are not things like denial, they're things like sublimation, humor, altruism, and the like. So now going to the moves in positive psychology.
Right.
One can both acknowledge pain, suffering, trouble in life, and also want more meaning in life, more engagement in life, more success in life, more gratitude in life, more positive emotion in life, more rapture. Now, to have more gratitude in life, to have more meaning in life, need not be at all an exercise in denial of pain and suffering. So this is another way of saying, I think the skills of being a happy person are almost not at all related to the skills of getting rid of unhappiness. So these are not incompatible, and what I'm talking about today is something that every therapist can graft on to the practice they do.
Okay. The basic philosophy of positive psychotherapy is that a person's well-being or psychopathology does not completely derive from inside the person, but instead it is mainly dependent on the complex interactions that the person has within their environment. Positive psychotherapy also believes, like I said before, that a person's positive emotions and strengths are as real as symptoms and disorders. They are not just forms of defense and should not be seen as delusions of optimism. As for positive psychotherapy's belief of human motivation, it is believed that human motivation is based on finding the meaning of one's life. People want more than an end to suffering. What people want is to experience meaningful and fulfilling lives. There are three central constructs to positive psychology and positive psychotherapy, which are well-being, meaning, and hope. In the eyes of positive psychology, well-being is not necessarily the absence of malfunction, but instead it is the presence of strengths and positive attributes. And this can be separated into three different categories. There is emotional well-being, psychological and social well-being, and then there is subjective well-being. People who are high in terms of emotional well-being report feeling good about life, while those who are high in psychological and social well-being report being able to function well in life. Subjective well-being is a combination of the emotional well-being and the psychological and social well-being. So people who are rated high in the subjective well-being report both the feeling good about life and being able to function well in life. Meaning is the next construct valued by positive psychology. The definition of the meaning of life is based on two facets of purpose and comprehension. Purpose embodies the motivation for a chosen goal, And comprehension includes perceiving patterns, consistencies, and the significance in experiences. And then there is hope, which is the ability to think of ways to reach a goals/pathways and the motivation or agency to use the pathways identified. Hope is viewed as beneficial to all clients across all theoretical orientations and can be implemented across all stages of counseling. Theory of the person and the development of the individual. It is believed that the human mind defaults to thinking of negatives. We are naturally biased towards remembering the negatives, attending to the negatives, and expecting the worst outcomes. People who experience depression experience an exaggeration of these natural tendencies. However, humans also have positive skills and strengths within themselves that can be nurtured and amplified to help buffer away these negative tendencies and also can help in the prevention of the development of mental illnesses. Health and dysfunction. Having health means that one can fit in to one of the three classifications of what Martin Seligman considers to be a happy life. The pleasant life consists of the ability to have a lot of positive emotions about the past, present, and future, and learning skills to amplify the intensity and duration of these positive emotions. The engaged life is one with the ability to pursue engagement, involvement, and absorption in both work and leisure, and also in intimate relationships. Then lastly, the meaningful life, which consists of the ability to use one's strengths and skills to belong to and serve something that they believe is bigger than the self. Resilience is another component to health as well, because negative emotions and experiences are something that's just going to happen in life. But somebody with strong resilience can grow and develop positive skills from these negatives and be able to return to feelings of positive emotions. Dysfunction, on the other hand, is a result from a person's ability to experience growth and fulfillment being thwarted by psychological and sociocultural factors. Not being able to properly interact with one's environment causes psychiatric distress and then diminishes growth and well-being. Okay, so to finish off this first half of positive psychotherapy, I will discuss the nature of therapy. There are two different forms of assessment used in this theory. The first one is PPTI, which is the Positive Psychotherapy Inventory. Right underneath where I have assessments here, I have a link. And if you go to the PDF version of our presentation, you should be able to click that link, and it should take you to a PDF version of the PPTI. What the PPTI does is measure the client's well-being based on PERMA, which Evie will discuss what PERMA is on her half of the presentation. And then there is a second assessment used, the VIA, which is the Values and Action Inventory of Strengths. And what this does is it offers feedback on the client's top 5 strengths. And then the therapeutic atmosphere is one that's filled with trust and empathy. Part of each session will address negatives with the client and offer empathy. However, the discussion will be balanced out by also addressing the positives as well and discussing the potential of growth from the negatives. Positives and negative aspects of the client's life are to be balanced out. Also, during these sessions, the client and counselor are to work together and have a collaborative relationship. Together, the client and counselor are going to work on building trust with each other, and then the counselor also acts as a guide to help the client identify and own their strengths. Okay, and then finally, the overall goal of positive psychotherapy is to identify clients' strengths and resources within themselves and to show them how they can use them to overcome the challenges that they face in life without denying or dismissing the existence of the client's negatives as well. Again, positive psychotherapy is not fully on the focus of positives and building well-being and strength. It does discuss the negatives and works with the client on buffering them out. Okay. And there's my resources. Thank you.